So last night I got a chance to go see Edgar Wright's The Running Man. Is it worth your time? Let's talk about it. So like I said, last night I was lucky enough to attend an early screening of The Running Man. Now this is a movie that has been high on my radar. I've kind of been, you know, pretty excited for it. Also the fact Paramount is my favorite production company, so anytime they put anything out, I am eager to see it. And just, I was not let down in the slightest. I'm not gonna get too much into the specifics as I kind of wanna, you know, just talk general thoughts and maybe one or two cool things. But I want to leave most of the suspense for you guys to go into seeing. So real quick before we kind of start this review, consider subscribing so you don't miss any more reviews like this one. I'll also have a review coming later this week for Now You See Me, Now You Don't, the third entry in the series, so stay tuned for that. And let's talk about The Running Man. So the first thing that I talked about in my out-of-theater reaction was how this movie is not only, you know, a physical action movie, which in the trailer, it's very depicted as that. It's a very, you know, you're gonna be running around a lot, and it is a very great action movie. But the thing that I like about it is that Glen Powell isn't some, you know, trained assassin who knows how to do all these crazy things. Honestly, it's just that he's smarter than half the people. You know, he can do his kind of a decent way with fighting the people, but it's not like he's some trained veteran or combat specialist or some spec ops or something like that. He's not, that's not what he is. And to me, that gives it a fresh take, because a lot of times with these movies, it's like, oh, it's the guy that, you know, was old special ops or old this or old that, and they're extremely, you know, great at fighting, and it kind of just presents no challenge. This time, he's not good at any of that. He's a father who just is trying to help his kid, you know, make sure that she's safe and take care of his family. So a lot of this movie is more psychological with him, like, you know, keeping up with how things are going and, you know, making strategic moves. And he also has like a bit of an anger problem, which is kind of funny. But I enjoyed that aspect so much, just, you know, as compared to like other movies that kind of try to do something like this. It kind of gave it like a fresh new coat of paint. There were also a lot of twists and gotcha moments, especially gotcha moments. So if you don't know what a gotcha moment is, it's essentially just like you're kind of going along in the story and they introduce a brand new factor or just like a big hit where the main character has to make a decision or deal with the consequences of said, you know, new, it's kind of like introducing a new piece to the board. I don't know, just this movie had a lot of those moments in ways that didn't make it feel overcrowded, but kept just, you know, making the movie engaging. So you kind of heard me talk about this earlier, but Glen Powell probably was one of this, you know, the best castings for this character. I really enjoyed his take. I think anybody else would have, you know, I would have, if it was like, you know, Jason Statham or something like that, it would have been too serious. I would have, you know, had the image in the back of my mind of him being this, you know, this usual received like spec ops badass or just something like that. And then it wouldn't have worked with this kind of movie. I think having Glen Powell in here as a guy who could, if he wanted to, but we haven't had too many movies where he's some insane badass. So I just think it works. I genuinely think casting Glen Powell in this role was perfect. And might even be a hot take to say, but this might be my favorite Glen Powell movie at the moment. I need to give out huge props to whoever did the set design and whole like promotional side of the games in the movie, because they absolutely nailed it. I've always had like a thing for like dystopian movies, but in this movie it kind of was like in like the near future, and just seeing like all the advertisements or like little details, like when he's in a waiting room and it's like, it's almost like a Black Mirror episode at times. Tech has taken over, ads are everywhere, and it, like, even like the mailboxes where he has to put in these things, like he puts in the mail and it like comes off right away, like it's only his mail in there, I'm guessing, and it goes right to the source of where it needs to go. And I just think that that's really neat. There's a lot of things in this movie where like the phone's watching you, or like just the way like the economic classes were kind of reminded me of Hunger Games a lot in a way. That was a thought that kept coming to my mind in terms of like Panem and like the rich people in Panem and all of that kind of combined together. So there are a couple of people that Glen Powell, his character Ben, meets in the movie. There's a couple people like as he's kind of working his way to try and, you know, make sure he survives. The first he meets this family and they kind of help him. He's had the guy that helps him kind of has like this like YouTube kind of channel. Funny enough, right? Where he like exposes the truth of the network, which is like the main company bad villain in this movie. And there's a whole thing with like him and, you know, he's very anti the network and he has like this whole setup and everything. And then you'll end up meeting Michael Cera, who is like the son of this guy who used to have like a hot dog cart. There's like a whole lore thing with this hot dog cart, which I'm not going to get into. But I really enjoyed both of their, like everyone that he kind of ends up with helping. And even like just the moments where, you know, he's alone and then going back to with someone, it all just works together. There's never a dull moment. Josh Brolin is an absolute master in this movie. You know, in recent movies, Josh Brolin has kind of played this, you know, very smart but good-hearted character, for example, in Weapons. You know, and he's so good at being a master of deception. Like, he just has such a good face card. And in this movie especially, like, he tells a bunch of lies to Glen Powell. You know, he really knows how to work the common person to make sure that, you know, even someone that's, you know, very healthy-minded and has a strong mindset going in of like, I will not be corrupted by the network, even, you know, tempts Glen Powell's character at many different points in the movie. And especially at the end when he's playing mind games and, you know, the network can have these things happen where they show fake footage, kind of like a deep fake. Really cool stuff, actually. But yeah, Josh Brolin is just honestly a master of his craft. At multiple moments in the movie, I had to like try and second guess myself if like what he was saying was true, if he was trying to manipulate. And he's also just really good at not giving up and just trying to see the bigger picture and using his resources that are available to him. You kind of heard me talk about how they use fake footage to kind of like promote him in a bad light. So when they're promoting, you know, the three running men, or one woman as well, they have like these promotional things, and at times they can even alter the footage, because like Ben tries to expose them on something, and they just like, because he has to send it in, and they just change the footage like that, and it's very easy. I just thought that was very reminiscent of something that could happen in today's day and age. But yeah, guys, that is my review for The Running Man. Let me know what you guys think about the movie when it comes out on Thursday or Friday of this week. Again, probably one of my highest of the year. I had a really, really good time with it. And I just hope that it, you know, kind of reaches the audience that it's looking for. I know, you know, people often complain about new movies coming out and they're like, oh, when are we going to get a new movie? And yes, I know for the people that are about to tell me that this is a remake, technically speaking. Listen, it's new enough that like not anyone really knows too much about the original Running Man. That it's kind of a fresh take. It's something new. It's not like a direct sequel, right? So I kind of feel like, you know, maybe we should support this movie, especially because of how it's genuinely a good movie. So get out to your local theater, go support it, and just, you know, if you don't like it, that's fine, but at least go make your own opinion of it. So, that's my thoughts on The Running Man, and I will see you guys later this week for Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Peace, Colonels.